Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Tackle Shop Live. What's up, Bruce Millard? How you doing, buddy? Scott Lockoff, how you doing, pal? Paul, how you doing? Lane Grace is in the house. Scott Shope. Good to see you, buddy. Kalen Heathcote. Yes, sir. You came over and you fell into my arms. Oh, man. Tomorrow, retirement. Well, congratulations, buddy. I am glad you made it through that. Good for you. Yes, sir. Warren Cottrell. How you doing? Michael Bradley. Irene Fishing Machine. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Robert Murray. Hope everything's well down there in Tennessee. Yes, sir. Conway Hayden. What's up, Conway? Joseph Cascarino. Yeah, baby. Jeff Santangelo, how are you, bud? Bucktail Fishing. Good evening, buddy. How you doing? JP. How are you, JP? Matthew Weimer. Yo, yo, yo. Yeah, Johnny Kopp, how are you? Man, we got a great show for you guys tonight. Jimmy Arnold's in the house. What's up, Jimmy? Robert Mills. Ronald Kennard, how are you, pal? Always good to see you. Tim McSee. What's up? Mr. Rednoski. How are you, Mr. Rednoski? Good to see you, buddy. Jim Sabin. Man, oh, man, everybody's stopping in. Good to see everybody. Ah, man, what a day, what a day, what a day. Our boy GDP put down the hammer today with a 29-pound, 12-ounce bag. I am telling you, George, I am so freaking excited. That was a great, great weigh-in. It was awesome to see that. But, man, did he play with our emotions or what?
Well, there's one huge problem.
What's that?
4 ounces shy of the dirty 30.
I know. And that was killing him. He really wanted that bad. We got a chance to talk to him after the tournament, and he was like, oh, my God, that's so awesome. But, I really wanted that 30.
He's like, I don't want this to sound bad, but
yeah,
pissed at myself for not hitting 30 pounds. It's once in a lifetime for most people.
What a great day for him. We are so happy for him. I know you guys are rooting him on as well. Long time coming for him, and just to be on top for a day, or hopefully through the whole tournament, is just a great thing for him. And man, we're hoping for the best for Greg. I know you guys are too. Man, how about that 8-pound, 10-ounce lunker, George? A giant.
That's stud right there.
That's
and
a
I think
stud. And he had a 7-pounder too.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was the last fish.
Yeah, right.
But no, it wasn't the last fish. It was the next to last fish.
Yeah, right.
But I think with the way the rules are written, tiebreakers, that the bigger limit gets the tiebreaker on the lunker. So if I'm not mistaken, he'll get that full 1,000.
Yeah,
on that lunker.
I was kind of wondering about that because
in other words,
Brandon Cobb, was it?
He had an 810.
He had an 810 also.
Yeah, but his limit was small.
Right.
So the tiebreaker for that would be the bigger bag.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's 1,000, nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, and then they do a big fish for the tournament too. So hopefully nobody can beat that 810.
I think that's 3,000 or 2,000.
Yeah, that'd be a great little payday too.
Well, that's just some walking around money.
Yeah. So we were watching it all day, and we were like, man, that's 8-pound, 10 ounces, a giant. And he just was sitting on that all day long. And he said he was just so busy fishing that he didn't want to take the time to put everything in, and they held off putting their weights in. But interesting. You're going to hear a lot of cool things about the fishing. We don't want to say anything about it, but there's a lot of stuff that's going on that's really cool, and I'm sure it's going to come out over the course of the next couple of days how really cool the whole situation is for him. And we're going to watch how it unfolds and see what happens. And man, this is great to be on top for a day.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting.
I feel like I'm in first place, honestly.
Well, I mean, Greg's our boy.
Yeah.
I mean, we ride or die.
I know. I love it. I absolutely love it. But hopefully he'll be around for our next big event coming up March 14th and 15th. We have our huge sale of the year. The biggest sale of the year is our Cabin Fever sale, March 14th and 15th. And we are getting jacked up for it. We have some great speakers coming. Alex Wetherill, and we have just signed on another guy, Alex.
Not sure.
The guy from St. Croix. Shoot, got his name already.
Yeah, that wasn't my segment of the show.
Not prepared for that.
I am.
But
my book all filled out.
Yep. And
I spent about 4 hours this week getting ready for you guys.
And the thing is, we're always adding to it. So there's going to be more and more seminars being added to the schedule. We're going to put a schedule out here in a week, but we have some great seminars for you. And
I am going to try to save that to complete train derailment.
Yeah.
I'll be right back with names of who's coming.
Yeah. And we also have a ton of door prizes we're giving away. Some awesome rods and reels and tackle and everything like we always do. Just a great time. It's a great time to learn fishing, but more importantly, it's a great time to buy tackle. It's our biggest sales event of the year. You don't want to miss it. Plan it. You got 2 weeks coming up, and you don't want to miss this one. It's going to be a pretty hot deal for everybody. So make sure you check that out. Cameraman Nick's not here. He is on the road, as a lot of you guys know. He stopped in yesterday on his way to Florida. He's down there fishing for a week with his son, and Mason's with him. So they're going to fish and have a great old time down there. And he's already sent us some pictures of some hogs and really rubbed it in kind of deep for George and I with his pictures of all those giants he's catching down there. So,
okay, I got your corporate bailout here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just so.
It is what I don't. It is.
That's what you call no prep. So we have Alex Wetherill, courtesy of Shimano.
Yeah.
Who was here for Bass Fest last year.
He's a great guy.
Did a great seminar.
Where's he from? Like Connecticut or something? Or
up that Connecticut.
Way? Yeah.
Not up that way. From Connecticut.
Yeah.
And then we also have coming in for this show, Jesse Wiggins.
Man, he's awesome. He's a hammer.
Jesse's been here 2 or 3 times and actually likes coming here and enjoys this part of the world and the hardcore anglers that come to the shop. So talking to him the other day, and he was fired up. So he's going to roll in. He's going to be here Friday only. So if you want to see Jesse Wiggins at Cabin Fever, make sure you're here for Friday.
Yeah.
He has another commitment on Saturday. He has to fly out Friday night. For that, we also have Destin DeMarion coming in.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
And Destin's been here several times. He is an outstanding seminar speaker.
He's an awesome dude.
Very, very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
You'll be able to really get some good next level insight from Destin DeMarion.
Yeah.
And we're also going to have some of our local talent here. I think on Friday, the date's up in the air, either Friday or Saturday. We have secured Joe Raymond to come in. Joe's a hugely popular local guide on the Susquehanna. He also guides heavily on the St. Lawrence. Super knowledgeable, super popular draw for us. And then also Jason Shea will be here both days, another top Susquehanna River guide, as well as the SFT pro staff, as well as regional pro staff from several of the companies that attend.
Yeah.
And reps. Some knowledgeable reps.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we're really fired up for it. We've been putting our sales sheet together. It's a 2-pager. we are going to have some really special deals to blast into the 25 season with. So,
yes, sir.
Come on out and check it out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So mark your calendar, March 14th and 15th. We'll have, of course, we'll have a food truck on site, and we'll have transportation to and from the parking area. And it is just a great time, man. We're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, and we will hopefully see everybody there. For you guys that can't make it,
yeah,
we have an awesome online sale starting on the 16th and running to the 18th. You guys will take good care of you. Keep your eye out for the emails and the social media on that, so you guys can take advantage of that also. So got everybody covered for this one. It is a fun time. It's a good time, and we hope to see you there. Perfect. Well, we're going to get this show rolling, and we are a tackle shop, and we love tackle, and more importantly, we love talking about tackle, and we call this section the Tackle Talk. Man, I know you guys are tackle junkies as much as we are, and we have some great tackle that we're going to talk about tonight. George, what is new? What is hot? What is happening in the world of tackle? And what do these people need to know about it?
I have all those things.
Yeah.
New, hot, and happening. But I'm not breaking it all out at once.
Yeah.
I mean.
And because cameraman Nick isn't here, I am going to run the camera for you, George.
Oh, my.
Yeah. I'll run the camera for you.
Well, I mean, if you want to, you can bring it on over here, get the right angle, and then join me behind it so I can get some action commentary from you. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, jump on in here with your headsets on, and let's talk tackle. See how you look on here with your Zoom all set up.
Yeah, I'm good. They don't need to see my face. Look at that.
You got yourself cut off a little bit there.
I got the mask. You know how the Batman mask. I got the SFT mask.
Okay, well, on that note, so
I should have any music for that.
Last week, going back here to my notes from last week, we introduced you to the Baits Reel Company. Obviously, it's not brand new. It's been around for a couple years, growing. And we decided to sign on with Baits and start to bring their brand to you. Because they catch your eye and they make you look. And last week we talked about the hundo. This week we're going to go with something I think a little more
robust.
Yeah.
Is that a good word?
Well, that's good. Sounds like a John Wick movie.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the goat. Look at that thing, man. I mean, that is like one blinged out.
The bad to the bone looking reel, man.
Cork like knobs on the reel handle. A nice, cool little cork like thumb pad on the thumb bar. And as with the hundo, the frame is all one piece. So if I let that side plate swing off of there, all of this is one piece. Now, the reel foot is attached with two little screws. So obviously that's not part of the frame. But the crossbar that it's mounted to and all this, I mean, you could use this thing as a wheel chalk.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing with a one-piece frame is the stability and the sturdiness you get out of it. That's why you want that machined one-piece body.
And then you got your little bit deeper spool, 140 yards of 12. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
nice capacity.
120 of 15, which is a decent capacity. I mean, this reel would double up as, triple up, quad up, as a multitude of things. This reel has the capacity, for heavy line, long casting.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a big time open water frogger, if you're a big time open water crankbait guy where you want to bang a 10XD out there in the next week, this has got that kind of capacity. So it's a very, very multi-use reel. It's got a nice big pinion gear. It's got 10 bearings on the gears and the handle knobs, I'm sure. And one, of course, anti-reverse needle bearing. So that's the 10+1. And it is a magnetic control reel. So you're going to set your main cast control here, and you're going to have the ability to up and down your magnets quickly here. Very, very easy. I'm turning it right there with one finger. Big handle. Look at that.
That is a big handle.
That is a big boy handle.
Lots of leverage on that thing.
Yeah. 7-1 gear ratio is what we have in stock now. Probably your most all-around ratio. 8-to-1s will be arriving. This whole big bad boy here is 7.7 ounces, so it's not real heavy.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe that.
It's not real heavy.
That's awesome for the size of reel.
Okay. Yeah, $299.99. So I mean, Baits is not an inexpensive brand, but we're
terrible.
We're affiliated, and we're gonna bring some baits to you here every once in a while, and it's bring it in. All right, now we're gonna go back in the Wayback Machine and talk about something from back in the day that's new again.
It's a cool little deal here.
Yeah, I don't know how to show this to you, so we're going to do it like this. So this is the Bill Lewis Zigzag, which is a direct updated version of the old Bill Lewis
Norman.
Or I'm sorry,
Norman.
Bill Norman.
Yeah,
front runner.
Front runner, right.
Well, Bill.
Yeah.
A lot of Bills there.
A lot of Bills there.
Yeah, Bill Lewis, Bill Norman. They were probably buddies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for those of you who aren't familiar with this, the concept is you tie on to your front runner, and then you run a leader back to your top water. Most usually a walking bait. And what's cool is that when the walking bait cuts one way, the front runner cuts the other. So you get kind of this effect.
Zigzag. Get the zigzag.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Zigzag.
Yeah.
And, the concept is bait fish being chased. Now, some tournament circuits ban it because you can't have two lures like that tied on at the same time. So you have to check with your tournament circuit, but it's a pretty popular, successful. I wouldn't say popular. It never was popular.
Yeah.
It's pretty successful when you have schooling activity. So, when we get back into that late summer, summer months, late summer, early fall schooling activity, I'm sure we'll revisit this. But breaking news, that's bone. Here's chrome. For all you herring lake guys.
Got to have that.
Got to have the chrome. And then we need something with a little touch of chartreuse on it. A little sexy shad looking chartreuse sexy shad deal.
Yeah, it's got a cool back on it. Show the back part of it.
It's got a little purple on there.
Yeah.
But Epic Eric stopped by the shop on Monday for a visit. And, of course, that's quite the process.
That's quite the deal. I mean, I just, my head is still spinning over that.
Plus, he had a badass custom bait builder from Georgia, one of the best lure painters in the business with him, and so we had quite the session.
That was a tackle talk session like you never. It makes your head explode. I
mean, this was some deep.
It was awesome.
Paint, color.
I love going down that road with those guys.
Yeah,
it was cool.
But what was interesting was we were talking about the zigzag. Of course, Epic Eric, knows all about the front runner, and he's like, "Yeah, but let me tell you something. Try it in front of a crankbait."
Yeah, he did say that.
Now, I fished a front runner a lot. As a matter of fact, I still have OG front runners in my box, and I have fished them a lot in schooling activity. Probably haven't even said the word front runner in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Until this bait. And when I saw this at iCast, I was going through the GSM booth, which is massive.
Yeah. Keeps getting bigger.
I mean, they're buying brands like they're going out of style. Their booth is just like this.
Sprawling.
It's like going through Epcot Center.
Yeah, it is.
And every sub booth is another ride at the amusement park. So it's like Epcot Center, and then you have your different rides. That's how the GSM booth is. And I'm telling you, it is it's a ride. But I get over to the Bill Lewis booth, and they have their Bill Lewis guys there. And, we have our rep there. We have an appointment, and we're going over all the stuff. Of course, there's always a lot. And nobody's talking about this thing. And I'm looking up there on the shelf, and I'm like, first thing I thought was, did you buy Bill Lewis? I mean, Bill Norman.
Yeah.
Now, Bill Norman rented that lure. They paid for the rights to it. No. That doesn't exist anymore. That's our version of it. Nobody's talking about it. I'm like, well, we're stocking that bad boy.
Oh, yeah.
Based upon, personal experience. It's not always a game changer, but, man, is it freaking cool when you catch two.
Well, I noticed, when we threw it a lot, and it was funny what you did catch on that front one. If you have a lot of fish that are just kind of like blowing up all around your bait, and then you put that thing on, and that was that bait that would catch them. It would catch those fish that were just blowing up all around your bait. Really, we're not dialing in on it. It's just a cool bait. It's a game changer at times. And it's just cool. Like George says, it's cool. And then you have that great opportunity, just like a Alabama rig, to catch more than one fish at a time. So it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat to throw.
My goal this year is to catch 3.
One on each hook, and then unless you go with the super spook, you can catch 4.
No, I just want to catch 3. 4 is out of the question. I mean, very rarely, no one catches 3 on a topwater. Yeah. But 2 on the walking bait and 1 on the zigzag.
Yeah.
That's a 2025 goal.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep everybody in the loop on that one.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'll be throwing the hell out of this thing to make that happen.
Yeah.
Well, it's a stretch, but, we got to give it a shot.
Yeah.
We got to give it a shot.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's the Bill Lewis zigzag. Check it out, for your, it's not going to be a player for you till post spawn, when those fish start to move out into their summer patterns, and you start getting that schooling activity. Late summer, particularly late summer, and that crazy month of September.
Yeah.
Even October sometimes, depending if it's warm.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a player for that situation. And we're also going to do some cranking with it to test out Epic Eric's theory.
Well, when he said that, I was like, man, I never even would have thought about that.
We got to test this out.
Yeah, I don't know if he was just BSing us or what, but we're gonna.
That's why he's epic.
Yeah, that's why he's epic.
And you're not.
That's right. That's right. What else you got there, brother?
Oh my God. So, I want to talk about the new version of the Jackal Flick Shake. So the Jackal Flick Shake, yeah, if I can say it. The Jackal Flick Shake came out many years ago. And it's a scented with that squid scent, JDM.
Famous squid scent.
Huh?
Famous squid scent.
Yeah, they're all using this. It's all about the squid scent.
Yeah.
But this thing was ahead of its time. And this was actually like right in the early days of when people were getting into wacky rigging with a jig head.
Yeah.
And they called it flick shaking.
Yeah.
With a weighted jig head. And, there's a couple things about this worm. So this is the 5.8 inch. And I want you to notice the tail is not laying with a curl. That bottom portion of that tail, you see that? That's molded into this bait. Okay? Now, we got a guy coming here for the Cabin Fever sale in 2 weeks. His name's Jesse Wiggins.
Yeah.
And he basically existed. His income was built on this worm.
Yeah.
Like,
how was he rigging that mostly?
Shaky head.
Shaky head.
Like, this is how he gets it done. I mean, he is deadly. It's even got that same little, it's got that little Peyronie disease look up at the top there.
So it's almost like it's poured like with a twist in it, almost like
well, it's got a little
curve at the top and a curve at the bottom. So
opposite directions.
It's like an S turn, a slight S turn.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's there. You can see it.
But this thing is freaking deadly on a shaky head.
Love that smell.
I mean, this is like the deal. Now, in addition to jacking up the scent a little bit, they also brought in some more colors. So this color right here is an outstanding color right here. You see, every time I open up a pack of these baits to show you guys, they end up in my bag. So I don't open up like random colors. This is called
Dobammy
Mizzou.
Dobammy Mizzou, yeah.
Could be.
It's like a peanut butter and jelly-ish kind of a thing.
It is. Two-tone.
Yeah.
This we're gonna do damage with this.
Yeah, we're gonna call it peanut butter and jelly.
We're doing damage with this. 5.8.
Yeah.
Of course, we have it in the 4.8. We have the green pumpkin gold and chartreuse. Of course, we got the green pumpkin. We got the Prism Wagasaki. Now, this color they had in what they called a Nico flick, which they're no longer bringing over to this country. That was a hot color. Hot color. And then another color that's hot is cola. Cola's hot.
That was hot. That was hot since day one.
Cola's hot.
We always sold out of that, and people were always looking for it.
You can see that curve laying in that bag. So, Jackal JDM Formula Flick Shake, 4.8 and 5.8. The 5.8 is a 7-count pack. The 4.8 is an 8-count pack. The price is $7.99. And I'm not gonna lie to you, they don't hold up real well.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna whack some freaking fish on them, but you're gonna pay the toll.
Mm-hmm.
They were originally designed, as I said, for jig head wacky. But obviously their ability on a shaky head and a drop shot is, I mean, can't be overstated.
Yeah.
You know, ever since Flick Shake's been on the market, I mean, we sell a freaking ton of Flick Shake.
Yeah, for sure.
So this new formula here,
I'm excited about it.
You know, as far as the availability, I can't really speak, but right now,
I'll tell you what I'm going to do.
Fat.
At Cabin Fever Sale, I'm going to pick Jesse Wiggins' brain about the way he fishes that, because I'm going to do some damage with that this year.
He's not going to tell you.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
He'll share it.
He'll share it on the down low.
He'll share it in his seminar.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
I know he's talking about his shaky head technique in his seminar.
Yeah.
He was talking about the rods and the tackle and the worms and everything that he wants to talk about and his technique.
Yeah.
Just making sure that I had my shit together on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the Jackal Flick Shake JDM, stronger scent, more colors. And if you come in and buy them and you see them hanging on the wall and they look like they're bent in the package, they are.
Yep. On
but
purpose.
It's subtle.
On purpose.
All right.
Extra action.
Now, the next thing I have is pretty cool too. And I think you guys are going to really like this because a couple months ago when we were talking bigger swim baits, you know, like we're going to talk about tonight. Well, we're going to talk about the whole gamut of swim baits tonight, from 3 inches long to, you know, big boys. When we're talking about the bigger swim baits and rigging, we talked about the Spro, Chad Shad, KGB Chad Shad rod and how nice of a rod it was. And, you know, they're USA made.
Yeah.
Everybody's always like, you know, just all about USA. You know, is this made in the USA? Is this, I mean, it's all the time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they are USA made. But now this line is growing. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the Spro bronze-eye frog rods. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have 3 models. And what I want to talk to you guys about is interesting. Because Mike and I, you know, living the life that we live and knowing the people that we know, we get samples.
We might get a couple.
I'm not going to lie to you.
We might get a couple samples.
We are some sampled out dudes.
We get a few samples.
So we're
perks of the business. Perks of the business.
We're sampled out with this. Now, this is the junior. So this rod comes in 3 models. Bronze Eye Junior, which was built for the smaller frogs, such as the Bronze Eye Junior. Also built for if you're a big-time skipper. You know, when you're skipping a frog, you know, Dean Rojas designed these rods. And, you know, when he was with Quantum, his medium-heavy skipping rod was really light, but his ability to skip with it was epic. So, you know, when you're skipping shade banks, docks, you know, overhangs, you know, not necessarily grass fishing, but, you know, putting a frog where you can't put a pop R. So this is now this one's rated up to a 1/2 ounce. And the handle length is perfect. Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Look at that American flag on there.
No, you're getting too close.
There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, made in the USA. Beautiful cork. You know, foam foregrip, and a whole bunch of guides. But check this out. This taper is freaking money. Look at that taper. That is a true fast taper rod. I mean, perfect fast taper rod. And what this thing is, what I want to say about this is, Yeah, this is a skipping frog rod, but this is also a chatterbait rod, a spinnerbait rod, a spooking rod. I mean, this is a versatile, light quality rod. $259. They're not low budget. Okay. The next one we have is 7.2 medium heavy. And this is going to be your workhorse frog rod. This is going to be your bronze-eye frog rod. This camera work's not as easy as I make it look. Just letting you know. Again, I really like that handle length from here to here. Okay. Beautiful cork. Beautiful, beautiful cork. Locking down hood. 7'2". Perfect length. I mean, perfect length. Just a little stiffer on the tip. If I wanted one all around between the two, this is going to be it. I'm also going to throw a swim jig on this. I'm going to throw a chatterbait on this. I'm going to throw a spinnerbait on this. I'm really excited. I'm going to throw a lot of swim baits on this. I'm going to throw a lot of my smaller swim baits on this. I mean, I'll throw a mag draft on this. 4.8 Kitech on a jig head. You know, these are versatile rods. And to complete the set, we got the King Daddy. Look at that. King Daddy. Look at that. 7'4". Okay. Now, this one here, perfect for a swim bait. You know, not a big swim bait, but a nice mid-sized swim bait. Throw your mag draft on here. You know, throw a lot of stuff on here. I think it's rated for a top end of like a little over an ounce or so. So, plenty of power. If you like a longer, say what? Yeah, heavy cover, matte fishing. If you like a bigger frog rod, you can throw your bronze eye on here perfectly. It's not a pull cue. Do not get that wrong. This thing is beautiful. $279. $20 more than the other two. Look at that. American flag on there. Some Lee Greenwood action for you. Spro. They're killing it in this rod game. The rods they make, they don't make a ton of them. They make some damn nice rods. So now we have the KGB swim bait rod, and we have the frog rods for you. And there will be more. I promise you. We're fishing one right now that's going to make its way into the shop. And, of course, we're going to talk to you about it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's our tackle talk tonight. As always, you know, feel free to, you know, ask questions, call, stop in, whatever. Everybody in here is hands-on. Now, I did have a question or two on here. If I can figure out how to scroll this thing.
Here.
I'm gonna let Mike do the scrolling before I, you know, shut this thing down. So I did get a question on here. Well, we did about the differences between the Mini Max and the Eco Tungsten. Well, there's a lot of differences. There's a ton of differences. So the biggest thing is the Mini Max. That smaller blade. So if you look at like the Eco Tungsten blade and you look at the Mini Max blade, there's a considerable, like a third smaller blade. So what you're going to notice with the Mini Max is you can mess that up. So if you put too big of a trailer on the Mini-Max, you lose all the hunting action. The Mini-Max has tremendous hunting action. There's a reason that it's so popular and that it's like constantly on the verge of being sold out. Okay? If you put too big of a trailer on there, you take that away. And the blade is subtle. Like when you're winding on it, you just barely feel that blade. So you want to use a skinnier trailer, like a, for example, this trailer works really well on there.
The 3-inch Zaco.
3-inch Zaco is
kind of really
actually
made
I have
for
one
it.
rigged up over there like that. The 3-inch Zaco was made for the Mini-Max. It's popular when they make a trailer for it. But like a little 4-inch Kitech, you see how skinny that is? That complements that really well. That's the Mini-Max with the little Zaco. But the trick is don't overpower it with the trailer. Now, the Eco Pro Tungsten, which is kind of a new thing, newish, that is more like fishing a jackhammer. So, it's the bigger blade, standard size, jackhammer size, but it's a tungsten head. So it's got less lift because the head's smaller, and it's got more knock because the blade's hitting a harder substance. This has a different sound, but I wouldn't compare it with the Mini-Max. You're going to want both in your chatterbait world because, the chatterbait's just that great of a bait. Hope that answers your question. Yeah. Oh, question about a 12-0 3/4 ounce beast hook. Probably have it in the beast and in the Gamakatsu. If you go on our website, pull up, owner hooks or search beast. That'll tell you whether or not they're stock. We also carry it in the Gamakatsu big swim bait hook, 12-0. So we got that for you too. You can just, anytime you have a question like that, just jump on sfttackle.com. We have a great search feature at the top. Click in, some kind of a keyword. And once you do a few searches, you'll see how it's laid out. I mean, there's a big difference between like computer people and regular people in the thought process. I think it has to do with how the brain developed at birth.
Right side, left side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine didn't develop like that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Stay in your lane, brother.
Just saying.
Stay in your lane.
All right, I'm going to make a quick step over to the refrigerator and get a reload on our Miller Lite.
One thing I will tell you is with those rods that George was talking about, the funny thing is they are, they really are made in the United States. So it's there's not a lot of rods that are made in the US, and they were really pushing that and pushing that hard. But a lot of times you got to watch the blanks and stuff. But George and I have been fishing the swim bait rod, and we've been loving that thing. They're light. They're a lot lighter than you think they would be. They're very, very light. They're small, diameter, but very, very powerful rods. And the Chad rod, we've been fishing that quite a bit, and we like it. It's a very, very, very nice rod for the money. All right, George, where are we going, man? What's happening?
We're going to talk about.
Let's talk about these swim baits.
The world of swim baits.
Big and large, we like them all.
Yeah.
And we like them small.
The
thing about it is you could do damage big fish on all the sizes.
Well, I mean, first of all, there's benefits, pluses and minuses to the various sizes and styles that some are obvious, some are not so obvious. But for example, you know, the country, unless you're down in Florida, or, you know, that direction, it's been cold.
Yeah.
You know, and it's been cold in places that generally aren't cold. So, you know, you got to combat that.
Yeah.
And one of the best ways to do that is with a small swim bait. And, you know, I had one out here a minute ago. You know, one of our go-tos for early season, you know, is the famous Kitech. And this is the little Swing Impact 4-inch. You know, the thing about swim baits is they're so multi-purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Trailers on chatterbaits, as we just talked about, trailers on swim jigs, standalone. You know, you take this little bait right here, you put it on a little ball head, and let's face it, ball heads and little baits like this are the hottest thing in fishing right now. Shaking a minnow. Little 3-0 hook, little ball head action. Fish this on some light line. I don't care how cold it is. I don't care how tough the bite is. This little baby will get you going. You will catch your fish. There might be a better way that day, but this will get you started.
Mm-hmm.
This is a search bait because you can slow roll it. This is a finesse bait because you can drag it on the bottom. You can shake it. You can scope with it. You know, swim baits are very, very versatile. And I'm hoping that somehow we can, you know, without sounding like we're just all over the map, out of control, we can highlight that because they're so, I would say one of the most important categories of baits, period.
Yeah.
And it's a big category.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said the retrieves. There's so many retrieves of swim bait fishing, but especially with this bait right here, you know, even in that really cold water that in the 30s, you know, this thing can be hopped along the bottom or drug along the bottom real slow. And even in current situations, you can let the current just carry it along real easy. And the thing about the Kitech Swing Impact is it's got the scent in it too. It's a bait that's super scented with the squid scent, and it's super soft. Yes, you're going to go through a lot of them fishing, you know, maybe 1-2 fish a bait, sometimes more, but most of the time it's 1 or 2 fish a bait. But that's what you need to have when you're fishing those types of conditions, that cold water, that you know, that real slow presentation. You need that soft, subtle movement, and you need that scent, and you need that softness of the bait for that fish to hold on to it until you can get the hook set.
Yeah, it's certainly a benefit for this cold weather period of time, but it's also year round.
Oh, it is, that no doubt. And the other thing is, you know, of course you can fish it the way that they're meant to be fished, which is casting and winding at different speeds, and you'll get some great action out of that too.
Great search bait.
Yep.
Again, great small swim baits are and the brand's almost irrelevant. You know, everybody has different, you know, theories and thoughts and confidence levels with that. You know, we really like the Kitech when it's cold, because there is definitely something to that, what we call squid scent. There's definitely something to it. But there's lots of good small swim baits, and there's lots of different ways to rig them. Another one we like quite a bit in that small category is the Little Dipper from Reaction. I mean, we talk about this bait all the time. Again, tremendous chatterbait trailer. tremendous swim jig trailer, tremendous on a variety of rigging techniques. Now, here we have it on a line through head, screw in, treble head from 6 cents, line through. What we're getting with this bait is a couple of advantages rigged this way. And make no mistake about it, we'll put it on a jig head, but this way, we're getting more life out of the bait. We're getting the ability to get a little more down in the rock without snagging quite as much. And we're getting a tremendous hookup ratio. So just a different way. You want to put it on a jig head, put it on a jig head. You want to rig it with a line through, rig it with a line through. And as with all these baits, they're awesome scope baits.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I noticed with the Reaction Innovation Little Dipper, and why I feel like it's in a field all of its own, is the amount of roll that you get out of one of the things that you're looking for in a swim bait is you're looking for a body roll at certain times of the year. What the thing about that Reaction Innovation bait is it rolls and thumps. It actually has a thump to it, different than any other swim bait I've ever fished. And it has some, if you look at those cuts on there, it has some cuts up around the head. It's molded in a way, you would think, that's just a mold, but that thing's molded in a way up around the head here that the water flow makes that thing thump like crazy. And when you throw it out there on a jig head or like this and just retrieve it, your rod tip actually thumps. And I find that to be a big factor in that bait over a lot of other baits. It's one of my favorites. Now, to me, it's more of a warmer water, a little bit warmer water bait if you're going to use it on a cast and retrieve type of retrieve. But I think it really shines because of that wobble and that thump you get out of it. And that's the thing I wanted to make, the point I wanted to make about it. It is a spectacular small bait for smallmouth and largemouth, but that thump is just out of control. And it's made in a bigger one.
Yeah, the skinny dipper, which I didn't get one to show you, but it's it's about a 5-inch bait.
Yeah.
Now, what I like to do, and when I slide the boat off the trailer, and you idle over and say, "Hey, what's up, George?" You're going to see laying on the front deck. You're going to see a little dipper.
Yep.
You're going to see a skinny dipper.
Yep.
You're going to see some sort of a Kitech.
Yep.
You're going to see swim jigs and chatterbaits with those on his trailer. So, and for me and Mike, because we fish together a lot, certain times, there's some circuits that we don't fish together in. This bait is a player. I mean, we have tremendous high level of confidence. We literally carry, without any exaggeration at all, a full selection of the Kitech, probably 5 colors, 3-4 packs of each. That's how much it means to us. We carry an entire deep 3700 box of those. We carry an entire deep 3700 box of bags of little dippers and skinny dippers, because that's how much it means to us. We carry, the big binder bags of the Kitech in, everything from a 3.3 to a 4.8. So, this category that we will tend to drone on about and go on and on and on. It's so versatile. Now, let me show you a few things. Now, this is going to be a different swim bait. This is going to be a Crush City swim bait. They call it the Mare.
Mare, yeah.
But underspin. Small boot foot swim baits on underspins in certain times of the year, colder months, And late summer, early fall, when the fish are suspended, are deadly. Absolutely deadly. Now, the absolute wheres, whys, and hows are going to vary on your fishery, right?
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you're a big water Great Lakes smallmouth guy, you're going to use this early. If you're a reservoir, you're going to use it early. You're also going to use it heavily in the early fall. A great winter bait for your reservoir guys when your fish are suspended. So now this is a Strike King fluoro spin. It's got the fluorocarbon, so it collapses up when the fish eat it. If you go on our website or you go back in the area in the shop where these are located,
there's a lot of them.
It's ridiculous.
You did go overboard on this.
How you can have so many of these, but they catch so many. They're so good. Awesome in tough situations. Awesome on suspended fish. Awesome on like what I call confused fish, post-spawn fish. So we're taking our boot foot and we're getting yet another use out of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This thing's just like, we're Alabama rigging with it. We're dragging it. We're swimming it. We're putting it on underspins. We're Texas rigging this thing with belly weighted hooks to get through thick cover. It just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
Very versatile. And don't forget, and I know Mike's going to want to talk about this. And I know I want to talk about it. I want to talk about the drawing power. I want to talk about the reaction strike power from big fish. Now, I am talking more in the spawn period, pre-spawn, spawn, and again in your late fall. And I'm talking about the drawing power on big fish. Even in summer months when you get the right weather conditions. And all you have to do is size up. Take that same exact concept, go to a 4.8, go to a 5.8, and the thump, the body roll, the profile, the vibration, the presence, not to mention the tackle. So now we're fishing, 7 foot plus, medium heavy casting equipment, 15-pound fluorocarbon, and we have the ability to really handle big fish, and we're getting big bites on these. Pre-spawn through the spawn into the post-spawn, that time frame, you have all three phases of fish. You have fish that are pre-spawn. You have fish that are spawning. You have fish that are post-spawn. You have a lot of fish that are just out off the banks, just roaming around, chasing bait, looking for dinner. And this baby is a calling card. If you're catching fish, and this is for all of you who don't fish these bigger size baits on a regular, if you're consistently catching fish on a 4-inch swim bait, jumping up to the 4.8, which is basically a 5-inch swim bait, is no big deal. If you're consistently catching fish on this, you'll adapt mentally to fishing this. Okay? We are constantly talking about the mag draft. 5.8. I see a resemblance. So, if you're, generally when we start sizing up, we start getting a lot of pushback from people who don't swim bait fish on bigger swim baits. The smaller swim bait world is, everybody loves it because you get you catch so many fish.
Well,
you get so many
you
bites.
get a ton of bites on
ton of bites.
Yeah.
But You tell me your experiences of adapting to the bigger bait and how easy that was for you.
Yeah, especially when it's the like George said, the pre-spawn, the spawn and before all the fryer out, before the shad spawn starts happening, before there's little baits around, you got to realize that they're feeding on a little bit larger bait, and pre-spawn fish are feeding up to spawn, and in the fall, which is when I really crank them on it, they're feeding up for the winter, and you got to realize that all those shad have grown up and there's bigger shad around, and the fish are kind of keying in on those bigger shad. So the pre-spawn and the fall into winter bite, these baits just absolutely shine, and they call out a bigger fish. It's an easy meal for them. Again, the retrieve is very critical. You're going to mess around with the retrieve, and you're going to mess around with rigs if you're in grass situations. You can fish it on a belly weight if you're, George has one there. If you're open water, which is what I do mostly with it, I like to drag it close to the bottom, get it down towards the bottom when it's a little bit colder. I fish it on a jig head, just like this right here. We cut this off one of our rods this fall, this winter, when we were getting ready for a seminar. We just cut it off a rod, and that's what we were throwing in October, November,
and December.
That's something that they're eating big bait. So once you catch one or two fish and you figure out the retrieve and you start catching those fish on it, it's magical. It really is magical. It can be the worst conditions and the bites are really super slow, but you're going to catch, big fish, 3, 4, 5 pound fish on these things, because
Don't stop there.
That's what they're feeding on. You heard us talk about match to hatch. We're matching the hatch in those situations because they're hungry, they're getting ready to spawn, or they're hungry and they're getting ready for winter. That's when we're throwing that bait a lot. A lot.
I mean,
there's other times too, don't get me wrong, but that's the key times for me that I like to throw it. We move on to other stuff when the water's warmer.
I mean, there's always a variety of big boot foots laying on the deck. Those are the two primo.
Absolutely.
That's like yeah. Now, one thing that I have a lot of confidence in, and I've done really well in on the spawning season, grass fishing, is the bladed underspin, belly weight. The belly weight with the blade. I have tremendous confidence. Caught many a good fish slow rolling this through the grass during the spawning season. Largemouth, big fish. Just love it. Love it to death. So that's another rigging for that same bait. Do very, very well with this.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, if I come across some random hardcover, I can squeeze that right through there because my hook point's buried in the top of the bait.
Yeah.
So very effective.
Yep.
To always do well with that.
One other point that, when, later in the post spawn, or that post spawn into the early summer part, we have guys that throw the bigger size swim baits, the skinny dipper, the bigger mayor that George has there, and the 3.8s and the 4.8s. They throw that, on that post spawn for those big females. Those big females would rather eat a bigger bait on post spawn than they would chasing around little fry and stuff like that. They want to get their energy back. They've worked hard, doing that. So we always, and I have a customer who just he does really well, in that post spawn early summer, just reeling those things through tops of grass, Texas rigged like that right there. And it does really, really well with it and catches big fish on it. Doesn't get a lot of bites, but he gets a lot of nice, or he catches some big fish on it.
Yeah, they're very versatile. And then you continue to size up. Of course, the Mag Draft is absolutely famous. The Mag Draft Freestyle which simply means you have to rig it on a belly hook. The 8-inch mag draft, when you just want to just target big fish. This is going to be spawn season, and dynamite in the fall. You got to have the right conditions in the summer, or you got to be on the right body of water. But that baby targets big fish. That's a chunk right there.
Yeah, or the right bait.
So this is a pre-spawn through spawn prime time to throw this. This is the 8-inch mag draft. This is when you're targeting big fish, and that is the best time of the year to fish them is pre-spawn.
Yeah,
into the spawn. That's about the only time we mess with that one.
That's something to throw that big slinger and that big sucker around.
Well, and you got to have the right conditions.
Yeah,
this is every day, and then the freestyle for when you're in that thicker cover, grass, wood, or you want to drag bottom.
Kind of to go along with that, George, did you see the picture of Wink when down in Florida? He has that one that choked that mag draft.
Yeah, the freestyle.
Yeah, absolutely choked it. And he's fishing some post-spawn fish and some pre-spawn fish. He's fishing right around that spawning, pre-spawn, spawn, and post-spawn. And he's throwing around that freestyle. And, man, they were choking that thing yesterday for him.
That's when that bad boy shines.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
but you see those guys throwing these things in the summertime too, when they get out on those ledges and they're fishing those bigger schools of shad, the bigger bait, those ledge fish in the summertime. You see them guys throwing those bigger size swim baits also.
Well, the freestyle shines on a jig head. The 5.8, the 4.8 shines on a jig head under that circumstance. It just all you're doing is highlighting the versatility of this family of baits. I mean, you need to be fishing this like there's no tomorrow. This is big time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, that's going to segue into, what's bigger swim baits, what's commonly referred to as glide baits.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's a hot topic right now. It's a lot of people are into it. A lot of fishermen are getting into it. A lot of fishermen have great interest in it. But there is a little bit of a shock and awe pattern there when they first see the bait. But to be honest with you, you need about one bite to be drinking the Kool-Aid. And, we size up. Now you're getting a completely different sound, action, and drawing power. These bigger hard glide baits, they're more of a draw bait. They're drawing that fish. It's kind of like fishing that mag draft. It pulling the fish to you. It's kind of like rolling that 5.8. It's pulling the fish to you. It's causing a reaction. So when you size up into your various glides, one of the most popular models today's day and age is going to be your Spro KGB Chad Shad fish catching bait. I mean, a fish in the last two events on the tour, we shipped a lot of these baits out. A lot of pros are throwing this bait. So that just tells you one thing. Pre-spawn and spawn, this is where it's at. Now, this is Chad Shad, one of my favorites. But what you're
awesome.
You're adding some dimension to your swim bait game when you go to the hard baits. So you have sound, the joints making contact, but now you have more of a hypnotic kind of a. This is for those of you who are new to this. This is why they call them glide baits. They have that S motion. Now you can manipulate them. There's a million different models. You can have, 5 2-hour shows on just this topic. You can manipulate them with twitches of your rod tip, or more popularly with quick little snaps of your reel handle. And for lack of a better term, for those of you who aren't familiar with this, you get almost like a Zara spook walk to them. Different models have different amounts of that.
Yeah.
Some models cut better than others, just
Yeah.
like some Zara spook style baits walk differently than others.
Well, when you really go down that wormhole with these types of baits right here, there's a lot of custom baits that are like that bait right there. And that's really where it comes from, is a custom bait world. And I like to say that, you know, there's with a bait like that to me, it's a really good chop bait. You know, in other words, it really walks the dog through the water, like a little closer, a little bit more choppy, better than some of these other baits we're going to look at. But it's a really good choppy style bait, and you can do that with your reel handle and your rod tip combined, or just with your reel, you know, spinning your reel a little bit quicker on that quarter turn, or half turn, I think they call it. And or you can just reel it real slow, and you'll get that more glidey type of feel at it. So it's a very versatile bait, but it's really shines with that choppy walk the dog under the water. That style of bait. And some of these other ones we'll talk about some other actions, but that one, that's what's really good for.
Yeah, different body styles, different materials have different abilities there. And at the end of the day, if you're an experienced big swim bait fisherman, you know this. If you're not, you'll learn it. But don't hang up on it. For my personal experience, I've caught more fish on a slow, steady retrieve than any other technique I've ever tried. But we're like all forms of fishing, we're always learning.
Yeah, and
we're always learning.
And important with that is, just like you would try different retrieves with small swim baits and your other swim baits that you throw, you have to try different retrieves with these baits also. You know, the faster, the slower, the more glidey, and that's important.
It's really important.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna have to size your tackle up a little bit to get into some of these bigger baits. You know, you're talking 1.5 to 2.5 ounces. It's kind of the range we're talking about. So you're gonna need an extra heavy powered rod for the most part, and you're gonna want a little longer for the ease of casting. So keep that in mind, when you're thinking about getting into this. And there's just a ton of different profiles. So, that profile is considered, the typical like glide bait profile. This profile is considered more of a herring, like swimmer, what they would call a swimmer type profile.
Right.
It's just categorizing it with names. A lot of these baits do the same thing, slightly different, but you're getting the same desire. This is a multi-joint. So a lot of times if you see 2 joints in a bait, they're a little more along the lines of a swimmer. Here's one of the more famous swimmers, the bull shed. That's a 4-piecer.
Yep.
That's got 3 joints. And that's a kind of a hybrid. Works really well. And then this style is more your glide style. And it's good to know these things. It's not critical for any reason other than that. But the big thing here is, and we're talking it from a fishing standpoint of view. We are coming into the absolute prime time of the year to throw these styles of baits. As we stated with the bigger boot foot style, we're coming into the absolute prime time. You're going to have one in your hand a lot. If you have experienced it, you're going to have one in your hand a lot. Well, the bigger glide style bait, this is the prime time to catch your biggest fish of the year. And that bait, that style, that category is the bait that will get it done for you. So we're talking about pulling fish out, getting that reaction strike, and catching that, that personal best fish that you're always striving to get. And it goes without saying that expanding your horizons into the bigger draw power of the swimmer and glide style bait. Now's the time to do it. Now's the time to gear up, buy a bait or two. You can only throw one at a time. Buy a bait or two, put it in your hands and throw it. I'm serious. I would seriously start off with one bait, one rod, and I would throw that frickin' thing until I mastered it. And you're going to catch some fish along the way in the spring. You're going to catch some quality fish, and then you're going to be all in. You're going to be all in, and you're going to expand your journey out into, swimmers, different profiles, and you're going to develop your own. But as far as like this bait's better than that bait, I mean, we've been talking about that since the invention of the lure, and we'll let that for a different time. I'm not saying one's better than the other. I can tell you what Mike and I have had great success with is the Chad Shad. We've had great success with the Mega Bass, the Eye Slide. That's worked out well.
It's probably under that Reaction Innovation bag. Under that bag. Yeah, there it is.
We've had great success with the River to Sea S Waver. This is a killer bait. So, develop some confidence and go for it.
Got a question here about temperatures. When would you start throwing it temperature-wise when you start seeing certain temperatures?
I have definitely gotten away from water temperature for a lot of things because of, what has happened to me in the last 2 years of fishing forward-facing sonar, and the fish just basically just telling me, what you thought you knew, you only know 10% of the time. I will say this about temperature, because when you say something like, you're not as dialed in on water temperature, especially after your whole life of being so deadly dialed in on water temperature, it wasn't even funny. I will say this. 2 things about early season water temperature. Stable or improving, great things happen when it's early season and it's cold. Like a lot of our water around here has got ice floating in it to give you an idea what the temperature is. But if you have multiple stable days, great things can happen. We've said it a million times. We call it the 3-day rule. Now, as far as temperature itself and why you should keep an eye on it, there are different areas of the body of water that have different temperatures. And that process of eliminating water, let's face it, if you're on a big body of water and you're trying to figure it out, you're as happy eliminating stuff as you are getting a bite, because you're putting the puzzle together. Eliminating water is critical. If you can find a area that fits all the criteria, bait fish, watercolor, what have you, and it's 1.5 degrees warmer than the other places you've been, you need to get on point. You need to be like a bird dog on point. So you definitely need to focus on what the water temperature is. But as far as like, I do this at this water temperature And I do that. We did a show a couple years ago on cold water cranking, and we reference it a lot because we posted these crazy pictures of these big fish in 34.8 degree water that were caught on crankbaits. Now, back in the day, you didn't even have crankbaits in your boat when it was like that. Mm-hmm. And the point of the story is that's where this like new evolution has taken us. And for me and Mike, the eye-opening experience has been the forward-facing sonar and watching fish do things that they're not supposed to do. These fish aren't supposed to do that. These fish aren't supposed to just randomly take a right-hand turn off of a beautiful bank with all kinds of cover and just randomly swim across the lake because they sensed some shad 300 yards offshore and they just went out there and just frickin' kicked their ass. Well, when you start seeing that, you start adapting your fishing to like a little more like controlled randomness. And I want to make one more point, Mike. Back when I was hardcore tournament angler, and the hardest thing I ever did, in tournament fishing was not mastering another technique, was not, running big water, was not, going to these massive lakes that I've never seen before. None of that. The hardest thing ever is putting in 2 to 4 days of pre-fishing, developing a killer pattern, and then it's not worth a damn on day one of the tournament. And it's 2 hours in, 3 hours in. You're just, at this point, wasting time. Because as it turns out, if you had your time machine and you went forward to the forward-facing sonar era, you would learn that that awesome pattern's pretty good about 10% of the time. So the hardest thing ever was starting over and saying, well, you know what? Yesterday I would have caught 20 pounds on this top water on the inside of this grass line. But today I'm going to catch 0 and I get to go home after tomorrow. Let me stop what I'm doing. And for me, I would just put all my rods away, wrap them all up, physically open up the rod lockers and put all the rods away. No rods on the deck. Reset, start the boat, run somewhere familiar, put the boat down. Oh, there's a dock. I'm going to pick up a shaky head because it's been tough. Dink, there's a bite. Okay. All that last 3 frickin' days of practice out the window. Let's start over. Well, it's kind of like that with swimbait fishing. We all start off with the little 4-inchers. That's our gateway. And then we progress. Well, now we're like slinging the big stuff. For me and Mike, it was like, it had some appeal. It was something different. It was something to learn. And then all of a sudden, we caught some great big fish on it. Me and him, our first year playing with this stuff, we had one of the most badass bites ever. That was it. That was all it took. Just another excuse to step into another avenue of fishing. It's like hunting. It's like when you step your swim bait game up into these 5.8, these mag drafts, these 8-inch mag drafts, and you get into these bigger glide baits and swimmers and you start getting bit, it's like you're hunting, right?
Yeah, I agree 100%. That discussion we had on a Carolina rig where we had the Carolina rig tied on all the time in the boat. Well, this is the same thing. You always have the swim bait tied on. And when I mean that, you always have that bigger size swim bait, the Chad shad or the glide bait or the swimmer, the swim style bait, whatever that one is. You always have that bait tied on because you're not sure exactly when they're going to key in on that kind of thing, and you have to throw it. To go along with George's thing with what temperature, you just got to throw it. There was no reason to throw it. When we first started doing this, I I was fishing a farm pond when I first got my glide baits and I first got my glide bait rod. I would leave work at like 6 o'clock, and it was like March. It was like March the 15th, 16th, where I had an hour of daylight left. And I would go over to this pond and I would throw it more so just to see the action of the bait and see how it would go through the water and see what a Chad Shad would do, or see what a glide bait did and see what a swimmer did, and kind of learn the actions of it. Water temperature was, I don't even know, man. It was in the 40s. I know that it wasn't, it was low 40s. Like, it was cold. And I had a heavy jacket on, my hands would start get cold because it was getting dark. And some days I went over there. I did it for like a 2-week period of time, on and off, for maybe 3 days a week. I'd go over there and just mess with this stuff. And some days I wouldn't ever see anything. I never get a bite. Other days I would get a bite. I had a lot of followers, at some days, and some days you wouldn't see anything. So my point is if you're going to take up this swim bait fishing and it's something you want to get interested in, get that rod, get that reel, and get that bait and tie it on and leave it tied on. You have to have it tied on, ready to go at all times, and just throw it on and off. In whatever, if you get the feel for it, if your gut says to throw it, just pick it up and throw it, and work a couple of ways, fast, slow, all that kind of stuff. And it goes along with what George says. The temperature thing is critical, and we follow it very closely. When we catch fish, we follow what the temperature was, and it's very critical. But it's amazing what they do in these different water temperatures that we thought they never did. So
I think another way of looking at it is kind of like along the lines of what Mike's saying. We're going to start our tournament season the end of March. And, we're going to be in primo swim bait season, and we're going to have plenty of swim baits tied up and on the deck. We're going to be fishing wood. We're going to be fishing rock. We're going to be fishing grass. We're fishing a fishery that has a migration of herring that migrate up the bay. Mm-hmm. And the big swim bait is freaking money when they're around. Now, they're not around for a long time, but when they're around, the big fish are absolutely mesmerized with them. And then we're going to have a situation where we have a forage base of yellow perch. And then we're going to have a situation where we're going to have a spawn of white perch. And then we're going to have a situation where the young white perch grow up quickly, and they're going to be the dominant thing that's around for a couple weeks. So the point is, in that fishery, there will always be on the front deck of the boat, ready to go, not put away in the rod locker, not tied up, not ready. You have to be ready for the right scenario. So let me give you some right scenarios. Like a hard bank with a little wind on it, and you pull up on it, or you're fishing around the bank. Oh, look at this. This is beautiful. I got a hard bank here. I got a little wind on it. I have stable conditions. You better believe your first pass on that bank had better be with at least a mag draft, if not a glide bait. Yeah. Because that is a perfect scenario for a mega. Down the bank, nope, didn't work out. Turn the boat, come back up the bank. Maybe you throw a chatterbait, maybe you flip a jig, whatever. But the point is, you need to have that ready to go in that scenario. That pre-spawn, to spawn day where, there's a little chop on the water. And, if you're fishing grass, you better have this tied up and ready to go. You better have, for your open water, this should be tied up and ready to go. Not like I got to dig it out. You need to be ready to go, because you might only make like 10 casts at an area with it. But the point is, if you're all in on it, this is the prime time. We're coming into it right now. The next 3-4 months, this is when you're going to catch your biggest fish doing this stuff. We're actually targeting and hunting that size fish.
You can even see it in the elite series when you watch these guys fishing. They'll be fishing along, and then they'll just stop and they'll break out this glide bait and sling it around just to test the waters. And they had a feeling, or they had the perfect scenario for it, and they just pick it up and fire it out there, 2 or 3 casts just to see what goes on with it, put it down, continue their fishing. Then you'll see them pick it up on a totally different thing. And then, all of a sudden you'll see a guy pick it up on a 4th or 5th occasion, chuck it out there and catch a 6-pounder. That's what the glide bait does. You never know when it's going to work. It just works at the craziest times. And then there's the other thing, that then you become a swim bait guy. And when you become a swim bait guy, then you kind of throw them all the time, and you're just kind of dialed into doing one thing, and that's catching big fish on glide baits, or just fishing glide baits because that's what you like to do. So, it depends on where you're going to go with this. I know guys who've you started out doing one thing, and now they're full blown, wide open swim bait guys. And once they drink that Kool-Aid, man, it just is like, it takes over them. It takes them over, and all they want to do is throw glide baits, and it's cool, and it's really cool, and they catch crazy freaking fish, and they have fun, and it's what they want to do. It's really, really neat. There was a question on here about shad lakes versus herring lakes, and that's a great question, because that gets back to the matching the hatch type of thing, and you got different profiles that you must kind of look at.
So if you're fishing a herring lake, you will definitely want to be fishing the swimmer style herring profile, as opposed to targeting a lot of your time with the gizzard shad profile. Now, will a herring fish eat this? Yeah. But they'll really eat this. And herring lake fish are very, very, it's exactness. They are looking at a certain thing. And I mean, it gets to the point where if you're just randomly casting and they blow up, by the time you reel in and cast over there, they're gone. So again, you need the right conditions for this. If it's a bluebird day and it's flat calm and you're chucking this around your herring lakes, you know what you should do that day? You should go up on the bank and fish the largemouth zones.
Mm-hmm. Another great question, George. When fishing glide baits, clear or stained water?
Yes.
Well, I feel, my personal opinion is, it's a drawing bait. It draws fish to it. Now, if you are in an area where fish are used to a stained water, then the glide bait will work. If it's a river system or a tidal water system where they're used to cloudy, stained water, then your glide baits will work in stained water. But if you're on a lake, a clear water lake, and it gets dirty, I don't think it's going to be a bait for you to throw. You may catch some fish, but it's not something I would pick up, because in a lake, in most of those lake situations, the fish, you're drawing those fish to that bait, and they have to see it, they have to feel it, they have to kind of, it's like fishing at top water and dirty water. It doesn't work that well. That's my feelings on it.
Yeah, well, there's different levels of dirt. So if it's cloudy water because that's the nature of the lake, no problem. If it's cloudy water because you just had a massive rain system come through the water, through the area, and the runoff dirtied up the water real bad, couldn't agree with Mike more. But the good thing about that situation, it didn't dirty up all the water.
Right.
So
exactly.
There is an area on that lake where the benefits of that storm going through, i.e. the wind associated to it, push the bait to that side of the lake. You following me?
Mm-hmm.
Usually storms are associated with wind.
Mm-hmm.
Wind from a sustained direction for a day or two pushes bait, especially if it's gizzard shad.
Yeah.
And post storm, your area that you like to fish is too dirty, move around. But keep in mind the side of the lake that was getting hammered with wind. If you're going to be a swim bait guy, and that could be the little swim bait guy, to the intermediate swim bait guy, to the bigger swim bait guy. If that's the career path that you have in mind, know this: wind will become your friend. So you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. You're going to have to go onto the windy side of the lake. Now, to an extent, I mean, there's some places you just can't fish. I took Mike to one of those in one of our tournaments this fall.
I was going to say, hang on a second.
It got a little aggressive.
You're out of your mind on that one.
If we could have stayed standing in an upright position and not washed the boat up onto a dam breast, we probably would have caught those fish because they take advantage of that. My point is, these are baits that prey on the attack mode of fish. And the attack mode of fish is heightened on those conditions. I'd be willing to bet that not a lot of fish were caught on Okeechobee Lake today on a chad under bluebird, high pressure skies with no wind. You could have frickin' rode a kayak across Okeechobee today. So, choose your battles well.
Yeah, for sure.
But be ready to battle them.
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah.
There's a lifestyle that goes along with swim bait fishing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's
I'm all about that.
There's the big bait is intoxicating.
Yeah.
And the excitement of catching fish on it and catching the biggest fish that can be caught and the thrill of the hunt. Mm-hmm. And it transfers into our lifestyle. I mean, what I mean by that is, you're sporting your SFT gear. Mm-hmm. You're sporting, your Shimano hoodie, your Daiwa hat. You're supporting your Jackal t-shirt. You're repping your Sims gear. Your AFCO. It's all about the logos because guess what? We're in it. This is our lifestyle.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the big bait lifestyle is no different.
Oh, yeah.
And, we like to participate in these great situations. And you got a little something for the people, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we do it all, and we as you guys know, we've done some collaboration with Epic Eric and some of the things he's been doing. We've done River Rat hat and the Thug Life their Tug Life hat, and now we have just added a new one for all you swim bait guys out there called the Rise and Glide. I don't know if you can see that a little bit weird, but it's the Rise and Glide. It's got a glide bait on there. It's it's a pretty cool hat. It has a SFT hit on the side, but that's the Rise and Glide hat that is available now. We just worked it out with Epic Eric, and it's available now. You can check it out. I don't know if it's on the website yet, but it will be very shortly. But in here, we got them. You can call us up for it. Rise and Glide hat with the SFT hit.
Guess what?
Hit on the side. SFT.
Guess what?
What?
My t-shirt guy.
Yeah.
Right as we speak. Probably not right now, but earlier today was silk screening Rise and Glide t-shirts.
Yeah.
Wait till you see this.
Yeah.
I mean, to tell you, it's badass.
Yeah. So it's, when George walked away, and I don't know where he went there a little bit ago, and I was talking about the people who really that's what they do. They're swim bait guys, and they'll throw a swim bait whether it's working or not. Because that's what they're on the hunt. They're on the hunt for those big fish, and they're into it. They drank the Kool-Aid, and they know what these baits can do, and it's a whole lifestyle thing. It's like musky fishermen.
Sign me up.
It's like musky fishermen. You got that mentality of I don't care if I just get 3 or 4 or 5 bites today. I know they're going to be epic. I'm going to be slinging these big baits around. George showed us some bigger baits, but this whole swim bait world goes to 10, 12-inch stuff.
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
No, but I'm saying that's what.
Oh, it's there.
That's where it goes. There's all this stuff in swim baits, but the cool thing is that you can take it at any level you want, and you can sling it just like we've been telling you. You can fish it from 3 inches to 6-inch, 7-inch, 8-inch stuff.
3.5.
Huh?
3.5.
Yeah. Oh, all the way down to
certain circumstances.
Yeah, all the way down to a 3.5, and
or
they came out with a new mare, which is a little bitty guy like that.
2.5,
a little 2.5, which I know guys will throw, especially when that June period comes, when all that little small fries around. That's going to be a killer. So rivers, lakes, streams, tidal water. This is stuff that will absolutely crush it.
So let's revisit this as our season progresses.
Yeah.
And talk about the specifics of what we encounter on our journey through 25.
Absolutely.
Now,
absolutely.
Changing gears a little bit here. We have this reoccurring discussion here on Tackle Shop Live about fishing pressure, whether or not it's hurting our lakes or not hurting our lakes.
Controversial.
Tournament fishing, whether or not it's hurting our lakes or not hurting our lakes. And there's not a lot of hard data, but
correct.
One of my hobbies is pointing out
the greatest bags of all time,
the non-hurtful facts. So here's what I have for you today. In the ongoing saga of as the fishing pressure turns.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I know it is. That's the kind of work I do. So let's talk about February the 22nd. So that would have been 5 days ago.
Yep.
So that would have been Saturday.
That was Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we were here at the shop. We had a pop-up sale on a couple of things. We had some of our customers that were fishing, and we had people that were down in the Keys and all kinds of stuff going on. But you know what Brent Riley was doing? He was sacking up 35 pounds, 3 ounces in the BFL on Santee Cooper.
My God. Unbelievable.
And we know Brent Riley, for over the years, he's shopped with us here and we've talked about, this and that. He's a long time. He's fished the Classic. He's fished the All-American. Very accomplished angler. But you know what?
Imagine that bag.
You know what? That wasn't the only dirty 30. Jamie Gibbons, 31-3.
Gosh.
Now, there's not a lot of lakes out there in the United States that get fished harder than Santee Cooper.
Pounded.
I mean, there's a lot of them that get fished as hard as Santee Cooper.
Yep.
And you can argue they get fished harder than Santee Cooper, but as we pointed out now with Gunnersville, which is like,
yeah,
take a number.
Yeah.
Now, you know what else was cool about that tournament? 10th place. Okay, now at this point, you're not even taking any money home. 21-13. As a matter of fact, you know what that feels like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
Yeah. Oh, Gary Pope in 7th place was 25.10, and he had lunker 13.6.
That was a freaking tank, man.
Now, you get my point there. Now let's go west to Lake Berryessa. Now, last time we talked about west, let's see what we got here on that. Clear Lake on the 8th of February, 36 pounds for first, 35.13 for second, 34.42 for third, 30.43 for fourth. Lake Berryessa, top 3 spots, all over 30. So
I hear what you're saying, but I think you're missing.
Just saying.
I think you're missing the argument. The argument is that a lot of these big 30-pound bags are coming off of forward-facing sonar,
or beds,
but
both.
But
beds with forward-facing sonar.
Yeah, but we've always said that the bedding time of the year is when you're going to see those big fish kind of show up and you can catch them. And then if and after that, it's hard to get a 30-pound bag. But now that there's forward-facing sonar, these 30-pound bags are popping up all over the place. So Gunnersville fish were all forward-facing.
Yeah, but you want to know something? You cannot have those bags if you don't have those fish.
I understand that, but what I think the argument that we were having was, is it good for the lake, and how much is that going to, now that forward facing just started 1 or 2 years, 10 years down the road, I want to revisit this.
Well, see, my
if we're still doing Tackle Shop Live.
Well, we will. Yeah, we got another 10 years in us. My thing is, I'm not making. I get your point.
No, I'm just saying that's the other argument.
I love your point. I get your point. I understand your point. I know cameraman Nick is vigilant on this.
Yeah,
guys, I get it. I love it.
Yeah,
it's all great. I have a different point.
Yeah,
my point is phenomenal fishing pressure.
Right.
On all of our bodies, because fishing is so popular, and we only have so many lakes.
Right.
Phenomenal fishing pressure, and every single person you talk to talks about what fishing pressure does for the fish.
Yeah.
I disagree. Okay. I disagree. Okeechobee Lake during the spawn, those bedding fish are, it's like,
right.
It's like what we did to Saddam in the war, man. We just put some suppressive fire down.
You're right. You're 100% right.
And guess what? There's more fish.
You're 100% right. And Sam, yes, they did use forward facing today in a big way. And I would say that at least 5 or 6 of your top 10 places use forward facing significantly. That's what they do. I mean, if you watched Trey McKinney today on the show, that's all he did. He said he did say that he wasn't seeing them all the time, and that he caught a lot of fish that just shot off the bottom and attacked his worm. But then he located them and then fished them. Once that happened, but they absolutely down there, the way it's fishing now, and these canals and how these canals and these rivers are becoming a big thing. It's a big player down there right now. Absolutely.
Del Camp Outdoors, just look at the pressure the Susquehanna River gets. Yeah. 100%.
I get it.
There's areas on this river that are so good. Like, it's where we do 95% of our guiding. Guess what? 30 years ago, it's where we did 95% of our guiding. The only difference was 30 years ago, there was 10 boats up there.
Yeah, but
now there's 70.
I'll say this. 4 years ago, we were catching 100 fish days. It wasn't how many 100 fish days you have. It was how many days didn't you not have 100 fish.
Well, that was excessive high water.
We've had excessive high water in different scenarios in those same areas where we caught those fish, and we would catch 50, 60 of them, which is exceptional river fishing. And now you have the occasional 100 fish day. Yeah, that's just my take on it.
Yeah.
It's my take on it. Now, a river system, would you say was because of fishing pressure, or would you say it was because of the high water, the bad
I'll tell you what.
spawn, the whatever? That you have to look at that.
When you come into my courtroom, you better be better prepared for that, mister.
Hey, brother.
Because
tell me how many 100-fish days you had last year.
I can't even count them all.
Oh, poor shit. I can tell you. I could absolutely tell you.
Well, again,
I'm just saying.
I would like to,
I'm just saying.
without the dramatics.
Not dramatic.
And the roll the camera. I would like to say that, you're referring to a period of time that was very abnormal that year. It was a very abnormal year.
Well, it was building up to it. It built up to it.
It had nothing to do with fish populations. It had to do with conditions. But I wouldn't even hang my hat on any of that, because anybody will tell you in any body of water anywhere, one anomaly year is just that.
Yeah. So. I get it. And you're right. The river is exceptional. It's the most exceptional river in the country in my mind. And the pressure is more so now than it's ever been, and it's still producing those crazy catches. So it's awesome. And you're right, George. The fish that are pressured so much do show up at the spawn, and you catch those 30-pound bags. If the pressure was hurting the lake, those fish wouldn't show up.
True.
And I understand.
Well,
that.
let's just keep on revisiting
this.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm going to.
It's a great conversation.
I mean, I think we keep revisiting this.
Yeah.
And perhaps we even get a guest on. I have a guest in mind who would be great for this conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely touch on that. For everybody just that tuning in, maybe hanging on here a little later, GDP, our boy, 29-12, sacked him a big giant bag today, sits in first place. We're going to be watching him hard and cheering him on for the next 4 days.
There'll be no work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Anybody that wants to come in here and shop,
you have at it.
Experience and you'll
have
horrible level of customer service.
And you'll have to ring yourself out.
Because we're going to be sitting up here on office chairs, drinking beer and watching TV.
No, we won't be doing that.
We won't be doing that.
But it
would be cool, though.
It would be cool, and it's going to be great to watch him tomorrow. Of course, you'll have a camera in the boat. So that's going to be cool. And another thing I just want to touch on, George, because this is floating around right now, is the DQ situation with Matt Herron and the DQ situation with
Didn't you put that in
Martin,
your notes?
with Martin, Scott Martin.
You like to touch on small topics at the end of the night, don't you?
I just want to touch on this.
Because I have deep thoughts on this.
I do, but I don't want to go down that big giant hole, because there's a lot of stuff that I want.
You're the one that took the top off the can.
Yeah, I just want to hear. I just want to say that this is a long time coming. This is something that's been brewing in the sport of bass fishing for a long time. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, and I'm not saying that there's anything, that was out of the ordinary for no, that's bad. That's a bad statement. But I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, and you can take sides on all this you want, but this is a long time coming, and it was bound to accumulate at some time. And Bass has chosen to take it up. And they increased their lie detectors. They've increased, that rule. What is it? C3.3 or something? Whatever it is. It goes on. It's always been an argument. Every time I've ever talked to any pro, it's kind of comes up in the background. It's there. And the integrity of the sport means that you must, follow the rules.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think Bass has just made a giant ass out of themselves. Once again, they stuck their foot in their mouth sideways And they did what they always do in the last several years under this ownership group, which is they are reactive and not proactive. First of all, a polygraph is not admissible in a court of law for a very good reason.
Understandable.
Now, in the Matt Herron situation, they're saying he did not pass the polygraph for information rule. And in his rebuttal, he explained how he heard from his son in a casual conversation about, you're not, he was 70 miles away. He was like, you're practicing at that end of the lake. So-and-so their buddy won a tournament and on the other end of the lake in an area. Okay. So these pros come into this shop all the time for events. And everybody who is excited about visiting with them and meeting them and talking to them is going to talk fishing with them. It's what fishermen do. They run into you or a pro fueling his truck up on the highway on his commute. They're going to talk fishing with him. That is why the trucks are wrapped, the boats are wrapped. They are a brand ambassador. There is going to be information thrown around. If it is casually heard, and to Matt Herron's point, he launched the next day where he'd been launching 70 miles away. He heard something inadvertently and did not act upon it. Okay? Bass screwed up. And then they fired Matt up, and Matt, for multiple reasons, probably was predisposed to go fish MPFL. And this was like, you know what? You're going to treat me like this. I'm OG. I do not cheat. I'm ethical. And I agree 100% with how he handled it. Okay.
Okay.
Bass screwed up. Bass is wrong.
I would say that I would say this, that yes, in that situation, it was a harsh reality to what went on. But I can promise you that when I stand around here and these guys, especially at Bass Fest this year, and there was 3 or 4 of them over here standing, and these guys started talking about fishing, they said, "Hey, listen, I can't talk about this
right
stuff." They sat here and said
they weren't even in the off limits period.
Yeah, they said, "Listen, I can't talk about this stuff."
And they weren't even.
And there was 3 of them standing right over here.
They weren't even
right
in the off limits period.
But my point is that this is a problem that's been happening in tournament fishing, and it's a big problem.
You can't get DQ'd for that.
I know, I understand that, but it's coming. It's coming.
Matt Herron got DQ'd for that.
Yeah, it's coming.
No, it's not coming.
It's coming.
Otherwise, your pros could never interact with any other human.
No, but I'm saying in Matt Herron's instance, it's different, but it's coming. Like Scott Martin, he came right out and said, he whatever you call it.
He works in a marina on the lake.
Yeah.
I mean, how in the hell is he not going to accidentally hear stuff?
Well, accidentally and, kind of not accidentally.
I mean, he self-reported himself, but did he do anything wrong?
I fished. I back in the day when we fished different stuff and we were around those guys, they come straight out and ask you. Back in the day, they have.
Yeah, I know.
They have come out and straight out asked you.
I had Elite Series pros who don't fish anymore.
Yeah.
Ask for waypoints.
Yes, exactly. And that's
not, we're not back in the day.
I know that, but I'm saying it's an issue with pros. It's an issue with pro fishermen, and it's something that they're addressing. Are they addressing it right? I don't agree with Matt Herron getting DQ'd for that. I think there should have been some conversation, maybe a penalty, but not a disqualification.
I love bass, and I mean I'm all about the shield, but their politics of handling their business.
It is what it is. I mean, what's business. Right? They could have handled it another way, and everybody would go, they weren't harsh enough, and there'd be a whole argument on that side. So,
I just think they're terrible at what they do. Terrible. Now, in Scott Martin's instance, I mean, we don't know. You're working.
We don't know.
If there was a Bass Elite Series tournament on the Chesapeake Bay that I was fishing in or you were fishing in, Christ, we wouldn't be able to come to work during the off limits period.
No, I get that. And us as fans, we'd like to walk up to people and just kind of, we just start talking about, oh man, you guys are going to this lake. That's my favorite lake. There's a spot, and that's just our nature. We just want to talk about them. But these poor guys are like, whoa, I don't want to be rude, but
I ain't telling them nothing.
I can't hear any of this. And I heard him say that a bunch of times in here where those guys just shut you down right away. And
that happens all the time.
All the time. They don't, Greg DePalma, he's like, well, don't forget, guys, I can't talk about this stuff. And he shuts you right down right away. And it's something that we've always respected those guys from that. But they're the first ones to bitch that there's people that don't do that. There's people that don't do that in the Elite Series and in the Major League Fishing and all the tours. There's people that don't do that have that rule. It's hard, impossible to enforce. I don't know. Yes, no.
Well, Bass is doing a terrible job.
Yeah. Well, they need to do a better job. But Matt Herron is a great guy. He's and his integrity is unquestionable. He's a professional fisherman. He's been a professional fisherman for 25 years or more, and he's an absolute professional. And he absolutely got in a situation where it was just out of his control, and he wasn't acting on it. So that's a different situation. But Matt Herron, I kind of pisses me off that he quit. But that, he probably, I think he was getting ready to quit anyway because of the forward facing thing and all that stuff. He was very outspoken on that. But we've had conversations with Matt Herring. He's a very strong-headed guy, and I think he was setting up for it anyway. And I think he reacted that way. It kind of put the nail.
I hope he called him up. I hope he called him up after the fact and told him where they can go park their frickin' bus.
Well, I can guarantee you, and you'll hear this probably, but I can guarantee you that he did that.
Yeah, I hope he called him up
because
he said, "Oh, by the way, Chase, I got a spot for you to park your camper the next time you're in Alabama."
Yeah, because I feel the same way George does about Matt Herron's situation. I just, it's his son, for God's sakes, and and he didn't act on it. It was 70 miles away. It wasn't even something he was doing, and you're gonna have family members that want to talk fishing with you.
It wasn't even that. It was just like a excited utterance of you're not fishing at the other end of the lake where so-and-so won the tournament last week. That's all he said.
Right.
It wasn't like, hey, you need to go to this creek.
That's like you
go 4 bends up on that creek. And
that's like you going and hanging out with Pop before a tournament, and you guys are just shooting the shit. And he goes, man, you got to go down here and fish that. Don't forget to fish that spot down there at such and such. Remember how we caught him there that one time? That's kind of conversation.
Well, I had some really good runs in my day, working my way up through the Federation to the Classic. And I had a guy in here one time who I respected quite a bit. Was a regular customer. I respected him. I thought his fishing talents were outstanding. And one time he said to me, he goes, well, you should have been able to do that with all the information you get. Now, I didn't reply to him because I thought it was an ignorant thing to say.
Yeah.
And I still to this day think it was an ignorant thing to say.
Yeah.
But that was just him showing his jealousy because he couldn't do it.
Right.
Right. I heard things, right? I heard things from customers because I'm working, all day, every day. But did they influence the outcome of my events? Probably not, because I was always like a staunch believer in figuring it out. Right? Usually people that are information people, and we know those guys. We know the guys that idle up past you and waypoint you while you're fishing. They don't even have the common sense to turn the fucking the volume down on their graph. Those guys generally always have a good excuse why they didn't win. When you figure it out yourself and you're not fishing, you're not like Google trying to figure out all the information from every person you ever met, you tend to do better. It's called being a professional.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Matt Herron didn't run 70 miles the other end of the lake to go fish that creek.
Yeah.
Because he was doing what he thought he needed to do to win this tournament.
And for,
and for Bass to DQ him is the biggest crock of shit ever.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely out there, and they may be handled the wrong way, but, but you knew that these days were coming. And it's going to get
information and if you think bullshit that they dealt with the last couple of years.
If you think it's over,
all the information bullshit that they dealt with the last couple of years.
Yeah, but if you think it's
wrong,
over,
I mean they let these guys slide on information violations over the last few years that were well documented.
Right.
Now all of a sudden, today's the day that Matt Herron's getting axed.
Well, you knew it was going to come to a head.
Bullshit.
I absolutely.
Oh, they decided to wait until Matt Herron did something wrong.
It was the first tournament of the year. Yeah. So that's when it was this year when they were going to do it. And I'm telling you, if you think that him and Scott Martin were the last ones, you're out of your mind. They're absolutely going to be DQing other people throughout the year for that reason. And right, wrong, or indifferent, they're setting an example. And they're going to let this out there, right, wrong, or indifferent. That's what I'm saying. But that's the way they're going about it, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen again for a stupid reason.
All right,
but it's a reason. I guess
the biggest lesson learned here is Bass is reactive. They're not proactive.
Yeah.
And Matt Herron was made an example of because the people who are in charge of Bass don't know what they're doing.
Right.
And here we are.
Yeah.
That's all. That's what we came to in the last 13 minutes.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
But it's going to happen again. So get ready. Just buckle up and get ready. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it's going to happen again because they're out to make this, at least that part of their tournament fishing, correct, right again.
Oh, so you're saying they are proactive?
Right now they are. Right now they are.
How much do you want to bet? And a gentleman's wager, of course.
Yeah.
That an olive branch is extended to Matt Herron before this season's over.
To come back?
Just an olive branch is extended to Matt Herron before this season's over. Because I'll take your action. I had Duke minus 12 today, and I covered, so I'm good to go.
No. Matt Herron overreacted.
That's not what I said.
No, yeah, that's what you said.
No, I didn't say. I said, how much do you want to bet at Bass?
And because Matt Herron overreacted and got like that, this is what I'm reading into it. That Bass is going to, probably already went to him and said, "Listen, Matt, we don't want you to quit the thing, but this is rules we're trying to make. You come back." They probably already did that. We want you to come back.
No.
Huh? They probably already did.
No.
I bet you they did it before he quit.
No.
I love Matt Herron anyway.
So do I.
I love him, but I could just hear him on a telephone.
All right, Mike, get me home. Get me home.
All right, guys. Don't forget, March 14th and 15th, here at the shop, Cabin Fever sale. You don't want to miss it. And for you guys that can't travel, we'll take care of you too on March 16th through 18th with our online sale. Unbelievable pricing, unbelievable specials. George's office knocker again. But this one is our biggest sales event of the year, and we make a statement at it. And I hope you guys can come because we like shaking hands with all of with all of our listeners. And thank you so much for stopping by. And we'll catch you at the next Tackle Shop Live.
Right there, you took my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream? The next day, you called me up. You told me I'm your little buttercup. You came over and you fell into my arms. Well, I know what I feel. Please tell me your love is real.